Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sean Atkins, Chair of the East Point Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, I'd like to call our February 21st, 2019 meeting to order. Staff, would you please sound roll call to establish a quorum?
Commissioner Lovett, Commissioner Bell, Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Fan,
Here.
Commissioner Atkins,
Present.
Commissioner Tucker, Commissioner McKnight, Commissioner Maxwell, Commissioner Mitchell.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask all those present tonight if you would join us in observing a moment of silence. Thank you. If you would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt our agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Fan?
I would like to amend the agenda to add to the agenda the election of officers for the commission.
Okay. And where would you like to add
I'd like to add it after the last agenda item on our present agenda,
Okay.
which would come after the Warren Street, Warren Way, I'm sorry. Is the
There's
Warren
one
Way?
more. Yeah, there's one more
behind-
case.
Whichever
Yes.
the last one is. Yeah, the citywide tax amendment.
Okay. There's a motion to amend the agenda to add the election of officers.
Mr. Chair, second.
Okay, and there's been a second by Mr. Miller. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our agenda is so amended. We've also been joined by Commissioner Maxwell. Thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell. Okay, no problem at all. Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve our January 17, 2019 meeting minutes. Okay, is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we approve our January 17th, 2019 meeting minutes. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our January 17, 2019 meeting minutes are approved. Our next agenda item is old business. Under old business, we've got two cases to hear. The first case is case number 2018 V as in Victor -020-12. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Thank you, Commissioner. Case number 2018V-020-12. The applicant, Mithawala Inc., is seeking to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces for off-street parking as required in Section 10-2154.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, if you would recall, this is an agenda item that was tabled for our February meeting. We heard from the applicant at last month's public hearing. We've also heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Or staff, do you want to resound your recommendation?
Yes, Commissioner. So staff recommends approval of a variance to reduce the number of off-street parking spaces from 16, as required in Section 10-2154 of the zoning ordinance, to 4 parking spaces with the following condition: on-site parking in the rear only.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. So Commissioners, as I stated earlier, we've heard from staff at last month's public hearing. We've also heard staff's recommendation. The applicant is seeking to reduce off-street parking from 16 to, it's to reduce off-street parking. Staff's recommendation is to do so with conditions that parking takes place in the rear, and there are 4 spaces. Is that correct? That's staff's recommendation. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Motion for discussion.
I think it has to be a motion to approve or deny.
Motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fan that we approve this agenda item. It's been seconded by Commissioner Maxwell. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
I do have just one. I do have some concerns about it. I stated in the last meeting that I did, and also in the work session, I had concerns. I'm going to ask staff, how do we, I know we're going to put a condition in it, but how do we police those 4 parking spaces in the back to make sure that they're utilizing those 4 spaces in the back for, I guess, are you conditioning it for customers or for employees? I'm trying to figure that out.
So we didn't want to condition them to only employees per se, we wanted to condition them to just to have them available to employees or customers or service or delivery.
We had long and lengthy discussion in the work session about the dumpster and where the dumpster would be placed in the rear of the property. I just want to make sure that the 4 spaces that you recommending will accommodate the dumpster that will have to be in the rear.
I believe, so they do have 1 dumpster currently on the site. I do believe that El Rocio Mexican Restaurant is utilizing that dumpster currently. So I do not know what they plan to do as far as trash, where to allocate their trash. I don't know if they are going to take that dumpster back, to use as their own, or if they're going to use it with El Rocio as kind of a joint use. So I'm not sure as far as
Well,
trash.
I'm going to vote with your recommendation to approve those 4 parking spaces, but I do still have the concern in terms of the dumpster in the back and where the dumpster will be, and those 4 parking spaces will be utilized either or. It doesn't matter with me, whether it's for employees or for customers. I just want to make sure that it's going to be adequate for their business. I'm good. I'm good with that.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns?
I do. I just want to make sure, just for the records, the approval with the conditions that we're voting on.
Well, Commissioner's Fan motion was to approve. He did not stay with conditions. We would have to go back and ask for a friendly amendment to that because he is the maker of the motion.
Okay.
So Commissioner Fan, is it your intent that your approval is with the conditions as stated by staff?
It is.
Okay.
That
And-
we'll approve it based on staff's recommendation of conditions of zoning.
Okay, and Mr. Maxwell, does your second still stand? Okay, and Mr. Maxwell stated that his second still stands. Any other comments, questions, or concerns?
Hi, Kimberly Smith, Planning Director. There are other possible conditions that were available for you all to consider, and I was unclear if you all had the opportunity to look at those additional ones. I know that there were some additional conditions that were discussed at the work session, and they're up on the board for your review. One of the conditions was for off-site parking for employees only, as you're discussing. The third one was for service delivery vehicle access in the rear of the building only. And then the third one was a designated location for ride sharing. Are you all?
No, but I just have a question. I want to be clear. Are these conditions that staff is attaching to its recommendation, or, because I'm a little confused by that. So are these conditions that staff is attaching to its recommendation?
This was my understanding, that for you all to have possible options to consider for your consideration. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
These were the recommendations, Mr. Chair, that you spoke on at the last meeting back in January. And I think the whole intent, whether going back to work session, was to vet those possible conditions out. So those are the conditions that you outlined in January.
So I didn't want to move forward without you all considering those as
Okay.
well.
Yes, so thank you so
Yes.
much. And I appreciate the staff's efforts to provide that, but it is confusing.
Okay.
It is confusing to me because it seems like it is a part of staff's recommendations versus something from the commission. I think that there was discussion about the conditions, and I know that there's some commissioners, if they still wanted to include those, then they would have, but there were some discussions around what's available and how that parking or those spaces might be used, and if for parking. So thank you. I just wanted for clarification.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fan, you wanted to say something?
The only thing I want to say is, I raised those issues at the last meeting when you came up with those conditions. I'm satisfied with my motion as it is based on staff present recommendation to move forward with those 4 spaces, allotting 4 spaces in the rear. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
I'm sticking with that.
Thank you. Sure, thank you. Any more comments, questions, or concerns from the commission? If not, I do have a question. I want to go back to staff with this question. So Commissioner Fan raises a great point, and I know that garbage and waste removal is a requirement for the business. And so on this site, I don't see a dumpster. I don't see that the applicant has made provisions for a dumpster, but that would be required as per the city code, correct?
That would be correct. However, that would be something that they're going to have to work out when they go to permitting on this. You are, by virtue of Mr. Fan's motion, you are allowing a reduction in the required parking down to 4 spaces. So if this motion passes, then the applicant will have to provide the 4 spaces and a dumpster
Exactly.
somewhere per
So
the city code.
And that's why I'm bringing this up. I know that Mr. Trevino discussed the fact that there is a dumpster that could be possibly on the site of the business next door, but are we even privy that that is going to be a shared dumpster, or is it going to be solely used? So we don't know that. Okay, so my concern is this: with the current recommendation and the conditions, we may be blocking them into something that would be very difficult to achieve, because a dumpster is going to be required. I believe that the nature of the business is going to be that of a restaurant or some type of eating establishment, correct? And if there's very, very limited space in the back of the restaurant, I don't know. So is it possible that the condition can be reworded to up to 4? Or with the goal of reaching 4, I don't know how we want to do that if we want to get to 4, but I think that a dumpster is going to have to be accommodated, and I don't know if we can rely on them using a dumpster on someone else's property, and if that is even allowable. Commissioner Mitchell.
Question, did they not say that there was another area close to or adjacent that a dumpster can go, possibly?
I looked on Google Earth, and it appears that the dumpster is actually right now at the end of the public alleyway. As to what the City of East Point codes require with respect to a dumpster, I have not researched that, so I do not know. But to Commissioner Atkins' question about could you potentially have the variance approved to reduce the parking such that they would be required to provide up to 4 spaces, I would strongly, strongly discourage that. We need to come up with a specific number that says they will be required to provide a certain number of parking spaces. Now, if they go through the City of East Point plan review and they get to their certificate of occupancy stage and they realize, oh my gosh, we don't have enough room for a dumpster, then there are legal avenues available to them to come back to this body. But I don't think we have enough information right now as to when and, how a dumpster would be placed on this site and what would be required.
Right, we don't. And
I do. At the site plan they showed us on last week, they had a dumpster on that site plan. And that dumpster was almost literally in the middle of where the parking lot is. The one that I saw last week, that we looked at last week. Now, it's not on this, but the one that they showed us, their proposed site plan, it had a dumpster in the middle. That's why I was concerned about the dumpster, because we have to make sure that whatever we do, that it will accommodate what they're trying to do, and we may need to reduce even the number of parking spaces to accommodate some space on that lot for a dumpster.
The only suggestion that I could come up with, and this is a little bit on the fly, so bear with me, is that you move to approve the variance down to 4 parking spaces with some sort of exception that if a dumpster is required and the only reasonable place for this dumpster happens to be where the designated parking spaces are, they can or cannot substitute parking spaces for dumpster space, depending upon the desire of the commission.
Okay. I think, Commissioner Fan, are you interested in changing your motion?
I'm good.
Okay, great.
Good.
Commissioner Maxwell, does your second still stand? Okay, great. The motion on the floor made by Commissioner Fan, second by Commissioner Maxwell, is to approve application 2018 Vias and Victor -020-12 with conditions as stated by staff. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This application is approved. Our next agenda item is 2018 U as in Umbrella -007-12 and 2018 V as in Victor, C as in Charles -021-12. This application requires a public hearing. I will read our rules for public hearing, after which time I will recuse myself as I am the applicant. I would also like to note that the public hearing rules will apply to all of the agenda items under new business in addition to this item under old business as well. Public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission shall be conducted in accordance to Section 10-2219 of the East Point Zoning Code and Development Regulations as follows. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed case will be provided an opportunity to address the Commission. The applicant for the zoning case or the applicant designated representative, if any, will be entitled to speak first, followed by other speakers in favor of the proposal for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning case will then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. By majority vote, the Commission may increase the total time for speakers provided that each side is given the same amount of time. If there is more than one speaker for a side, the chair or the presiding officer may limit the time allotted to each individual speaker other than the zoning applicant. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his or her allotted time for rebuttal. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum. Prior to speaking, each speaker shall state his or her first name and their current address. Each speaker shall speak only to the merits of the proposed zoning decision under consideration, shall address remarks only to the Commission, and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The presiding officer may refuse a speaker the right to continue if, after first being cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of decorum. Those are our rules for public hearings. At this time, I will recuse myself and ask our Vice Chair if he would please chair this next agenda item.
Can you put your microphone on, Commissioner?
In case number 2018-0070-2018-VC-021-12, in the case of Sean Atkins, is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of the proposal? I'd like to open the public hearing. Can I get a motion on that?
Motion to open the public hearing.
The motion is, the public hearing is open.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the public hearing is open. In the case, do we have anybody that would like to speak for the applicant? Please state your name and your address.
All right, thank you so much. Sean Atkins, 1311 Jefferson Avenue, East Point, Georgia, 30344. And Mr. Vice Chair, thank you so much, and members of the commission. I will simply state here that my intent is to build a habitable accessory structure on the property that I own at 1311 Jefferson Avenue. I am seeking to build that structure just above the existing two-car garage that is on the property. The property is a .218 acre lot, upon which a 2,408 square foot home, single-family home with a two-car detached garage stands. The conditioned air space habitable accessory structure would not expand the current footprint of the garage on the property. I am seeking a special use permit for the habitable accessory structure, as well as a variance due to the location of the garage within the setback on the side yard.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak in favor of the proposal? Is there anybody who would like to speak against the proposed? Seeing that there are none, I would like to have a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second motion.
The public hearing is officially closed.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Staff, can you give your recommendation?
In case number 2018U-007-12, concurrent variance number 2018 BC-021-12, the applicant being Sean Atkins. Staff recommends approval of the special use permit for a habitable accessory structure in the R1A Urban Residential Zoning District. Additionally, staff recommends approval of the concurrent variance to reduce the 3-foot and 15-foot setbacks as required in Section 10-213011 to 0.
We've heard staff's recommendations on this. Can I get a motion for this?
Motion for. Discussion.
Ask for discussion.
I have some discussion. I just did staff, your recommendations, you say approve with conditions, or these are, well, the stated conditions. I can't read that little writing like that. I'm 68 years old. Come on.
Staff recommends approval of the special use permit for a habitable accessory structure in the R1A urban residential zoning with the following conditions. Structure must meet minimum requirements for a habitable accessory structure per 2012 IRC with current state amendments. Staff also recommends approval of the concurrent variance to Section 10- and all those numbers, reducing the 3 and 15-foot setbacks requirements to accessory structures.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair. But staff, they did their job to read, but thank you for doing their job. I'm good. I'm good. Go on, London.
You may want to clarify your motion, Mr. Fan. I think your motion was to approve, and you've got several items that really need to be addressed. One is the special use permit, and then you have the concurrent variance, and then you have the staff conditions. If I'm interpreting your comments correctly, Commissioner Fan, you want to move to approve the special use permit with the concurrent variances as condition recommended by staff. Is that correct?
That's why I wanted them read so that we'll know it for the record that that's what we're doing. We're approving it with staff recommendations and the conditions of zoning for the special use permit. And I can't read that other little reading.
And the concurrent variance.
And the concurrent variance. And what was that third one?
No, I think that's good enough.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
And so does the second still stand? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so very much.
Looks like it, okay. All right, thank you so much, Commissioners. Our next agenda item is new business, and our first case on the new business is 2019 Z as in zebra -001-01. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Case number 2019Z-001-01. The applicant, Mr. Larry Lucas, is presenting a rezoning case at 1261 and 1257 Ponders Way. He is seeking to rezone these two properties from R1A urban residential to R3 multifamily residential.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2019 Z as in zebra -001-01.
That's so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Maxwell, second by Commissioner Fan, that we open the public hearing. All in favor, sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Would the applicant, Mr. Lucas, please step to the podium, state your first and last name and your current address.
I'm Larry Lucas. I currently reside at 5802 Cedar Croft Lane in Lithonia, Georgia. I am representing the owners of these two properties, Mr. and Mrs. Gill. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. Our petition seeks to change the zoning from the current R1A, which is a single-family residential classification, to R3, which is multifamily, because the properties are currently multifamily properties and have been that way.
Speaking to the mic.
There you go. Yes, thank you. Have been that way since their inception. These properties are legally non-conforming. Their uses have continued without interruption for the lifetime of the structure. And the purpose of the rezoning at this point is not to undertake any modifications to the structures, but to ensure that the investment that the clients have made in these properties are not hindered by the restrictions for a non-conforming structure and use. The property does intend to comply with two of the requirements for an R3 zoning classification, that is to provide landscaping on the front of the property as well as an enhancement on the property in the form of a seating area in the rear that would serve as an outdoor gathering space. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Not at this time, just public hearing.
Thank you.
So, are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Any other proponents here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak against this zoning matter? Anyone here to speak against? Hearing none and seeing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight, second by Commissioner Fan, that we close the public hearing for case number 2019 Z as in 0-001-01. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So staff recommends approval to rezone the two properties from R1A urban residential to R3 multifamily with the following conditions. In the event of extensive renovations are required, property will be considered new construction and shall comply with city ordinance for residential sprinklers for multifamily dwellings. Number 2 states also it shall comply with city ordinance for permanent emergency escape ladders if required.
All right. Commissioners, we've heard from the applicant, we've heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Have I have a motion and a second first?
I'll make the motion.
Please.
Motion to approve with the following condition, the stated conditions of staff, whatever they were. I can't read that right.
Okay, but you heard them.
I heard them.
Good,
I heard
good,
them.
good,
Thank
good.
you.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that this body recommends approval with the conditions as stated by staff. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
I have questions.
Commissioner McKnight.
You mentioned that the property right now is already multifamily in terms of the use. So
That's
there's
correct.
residents that's in the,
Yes, one building is a triplex, the other is a duplex.
okay. And so there's 3 families and 1, 2 families.
2 of the units in the triplex are being repaired for new tenants, as one in the duplex as well.
Okay. And then I wanted to be clear, when the staff recommended extensive renovations, what is that meaning? Do we need to be?
Yes, Commissioner. That came from our fire lieutenant, just indicating that if there are needed to be any new additions to the building, that it will be considered new construction and it shall comply with current code as far as sprinklers and escape ladders.
Okay, so additions, like if they wanted to add on to the home?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But currently, okay, the space can be used as is. All right.
Yes,
Just wanted to make sure it's.
Any other, so
Wait.
I just, to that point, this condition is going to survive all of us, and we will not have the benefit of knowing the intent of the fire chief, or so, like Ms. McKnight, I just think that we need to clean up that language. And if it is the intent of the fire chief or the fire marshal that that official is speaking of additions to the structure, I think we should be clear about that, because extensive is relative.
If I may speak to that.
Sure.
The fire code makes it very clear what extensive renovations are, and they can include additions, but also can include things like pulling out walls or changing structural elements, which would then require, quite frankly, any building, aside from this building, to have to come up to current fire code. So it's really just paraphrasing what is already in the ordinance, where extensive renovations are otherwise defined.
Perfect. It's a defined term. Right, it's a defined term. Okay, all right. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, there's a motion by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Miller. This body recommends approval with conditions as stated by staff. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This body recommends approval. Thank you, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is 2019 Z as in zebra -002-01. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Case number 2019Z-002-01. The applicant Frank Frazier III and Representative Chelsea Frazier are planning to rezone a property located at 1851 Warren Way, and they are looking to rezone this property from R1 Single Family Residential to R2 Two Family Dwelling District.
Thank you. Commissioner, this item also requires a public hearing. At this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion of the floor of the hearing.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we open the public hearing for case number 2019 Z as in zebra -002-01. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Is our applicant Mr. Frazier or Mr. or Mrs. Frazier here this evening?
I'm Chelsea Frazier.
Okay. In addition to your first and last name, please state your current address, Ms. Frazier.
Chelsea Frazier, 6794 Derby Avenue, Fairburn, Georgia, 30213.
Thank you. Floor is yours.
Yes, I'm here seeking to rezone the subject property from R1 single family residential to R2 two family dwelling. Once it was purchased, it has always been a R2 two family dwelling, and we seek to use it as such.
All right, thank you. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Any other proponents? Is there anyone here to speak against this zoning matter? Any opponents? Hearing none and seeing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell, that we close the public hearing for case number 2019 Z as in zebra -002-01. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Staff recommends approval of this rezoning from rezoning the property from R1 single-family residential to R2, two-family dwelling, with the following conditions. In the event of extensive renovations, our required property will be considered new construction and shall comply with city ordinance for residential sprinklers for multifamily dwellings. Also shall comply with city ordinance for permanent emergency escape ladders if required.
Thank you. Commissioners, you've heard from the applicant. You've also heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Miller? Okay, it's a zoning matter, so is that, you recommend approval? Oh, okay, is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner McKnight, that this body recommends approval of case number 2019 Z as in zebra -002-01 as stated with staff's recommendation. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This body recommends approval. Thank you, Ms. Frazier.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is 2019 M as in Mary -002-02. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Case number 2019 M-002-02 is a citywide text amendment, adding a definition for square feet and amending the infill development text to repeal the word footprint and replace it with square footage, as well as eliminating the total heated floor area requirement.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, this item also requires a public hearing. At this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, second by Commissioner McKnight, that we open the public hearing. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. The applicant is the City of East Point, so state your first and last name and your current address.
City of East Point, 1526 East Forest Avenue, East Point, Georgia, 30344.
Excellent, I love it.
The City of East Point Residential Infill Ordinance, Article J, provides the framework for determining what is allowed, what is not, and the process for approval for infill development. Section 10-4091 establishes the minimum development standards for residential infill development and includes square footage requirements in subsection 5G, which reads as follows. Square footage requirements. The footprint for infill homes shall be no greater than 50% larger than the average footprint for all homes within the survey area and shall be no smaller than 10% of the average footprint for all homes within the survey area. The total heated floor area of an infill home shall be equal to or greater than a majority, 51% of the existing homes in the survey area. Recently, staff has been challenged regarding the definition of square feet within the square foot requirements subsection of the infill ordinance. While the ordinance speaks to square footage, the standard refers to footprint and total heated floor area. According to section 10-2003, the definition of footprint is the outline of the total area on the ground of a site or lot that is encompassed within the exterior walls of a building or portion of a building, exclusive of courtyards. In the absence of surrounding exterior walls, the building footprint shall be the area under the horizontal projection of the roof. The footprint includes conditioned and unconditioned area, but not parking lots, landscapes, and non-building facilities. The intent of Article J is to establish and maintain compatibility among residential developments and to preserve the aesthetic qualities of neighborhoods. Square footage is a component in those standards which allows infill development to be appropriate with existing homes that are located within the survey area with an allowance of 50%. Therefore, to alleviate ambiguous language, staff proposes to add a definition for square footage and amend square footage requirements. The proposed definition for square footage is as follows. The area of enclosed space measured to the exterior walls of a room or building dimensions of floor plans for space that is occupied or able to be occupied. We're requesting that the entire section be repealed in its entirety and replaced as follows. The square footage for infill homes shall be no greater than 50% larger than the average square footage for all homes within the survey area, and shall be no smaller than 10% of the average square footage for all homes within the survey area.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak against this zoning matter? Anyone here to speak against? Hearing none and seeing none, Commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell, that we close the public hearing for case number 2019, M as in Mary, -002-02. All in favor, sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
In case number 2019 M-002-02, staff recommends approval of the text amendment to add a definition for square footage and amend Part 10, Chapter 2, Article J, Section 10-40915G to replace the word footprint with the word square footage.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, you've heard from the applicant, you've heard staff's recommendation. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Please state your motion in form of a recommendation.
Come on, y'all. Don't let me do all of them. Somebody.
Let's not all speak at once, please.
You got it.
I would like to make the recommendation, a motion with the staff's recommendation for approval of the text amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight, seconded by Commissioner Mitchell, that this body recommends approval of case number 2019 M as in Mary, -002-02. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This body recommends approval. Our next agenda item is the election of officers. For those who are here this evening or in the viewing public, as per the bylaws for the East Point Planning and Zoning Commission, this body is to elect officers at its February meeting. And this is the agenda item that was added. So at this time, there are 3 offices that we will need to elect this evening. It's the chair, the vice chair, and the provisional chair. It may be simpler to start with chair, or do you want to start with provisional?
Sorry, and then turn the gavel over to Commissioner Miller for the election of the chair.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend.
Sure, no problem. So Commissioners, at this time, are there any nominations from the floor for the office of provisional chair?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a nomination.
Microphone.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a nomination for the provisional chair.
Okay.
I nominate Mr. Jared Bell for that.
Mr. Bell, okay. Mr. Bell, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other nominations from the floor for the office of for provisional chair? Okay. It's been moved that nominations are closed for the office of provisional chair. Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Mitchell, seconded by Commissioner McKnight, that we close the nominations for the office of provisional chair. All in favor sound aye. Aye. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The nominations are closed for the office of provisional chair. There's been a nomination of Mr. Jared Bell. All in favor for Mr. Bell serving as provisional chair, please sound aye. Aye. All opposed, please sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Bell, for our provisional chair for 2019 year. Our next office is that of vice chair. At this time, I entertain a motion to open the floor for nominations. Let's not all speak at once, please, commissioners.
Move to nominate someone.
I just want to open the floor for nominations, so can someone make a motion to open the floor?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to open the floor for nominations, please.
For vice chair? Yes.
For vice chair.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Mitchell, that we open the floor for nominations for the office of vice chair. All in favor, sound aye. Aye. All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Nominations are open for the office of vice chair. Yes, Commissioner Mitchell.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Miller, Commissioner Miller. Please.
Yes. Okay. Commissioner Miller, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. Mr. Mitchell has moved that nominations are closed for the office of vice chair. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Okay. Mr. Maxwell has seconded that we close the nominations for vice chair. All in favor, sound aye. Aye. All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The floor is closed for nominations for the office of vice chair. Commissioner Mitchell has nominated Commissioner Miller for the office of vice chair, and Mr. Miller has accepted. All in favor, sound aye. Aye. All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Miller, you're vice chair for our 2019 year. At this time, I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Miller to conduct the election of the chair.
At this time, I'd like to open the nomination for chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Can I get a nomination?
Did you say it again? I didn't hear you. What you said?
Make a motion
At
to
this
open the
time,
nomination.
At this time, I'm looking for somebody to make a motion.
A motion for the chair?
No. He wants to open up the floor for nominations.
At this time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations.
Okay, I'd like to nominate Sean Atkins.
No.
We got to open the floor for
We'll
nominations.
open up the floor. The floor open up. We open.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell just moved to open the floor for nominations for chair. Commissioner Fan has graciously seconded that motion. All those in favor now? Now you will open for nominations. We'll accept nominations.
At this time, I'd like to accept nominations.
I'll nominate Sean Atkins.
Are there any other nominations at the current time?
Ask Sean if he's willing to accept this burdensome post.
Sean, are you willing to accept this burdensome post? Burdensome post?
I just wanted to be chair for
I will. I was going to say I do, but I'll just say.
Wait a minute, don't say that. Don't
I'll
say
just
that.
say I will. Yes.
Second.
And the nominations are closed at the current time. All in favor of closing the nominations?
Aye.
All opposed? At the current time, I would like to announce congratulations to Mr.
Do we take a vote?
You have to have a motion.
Yeah. So we take a vote.
All in favor.
You take a vote on
All in
Sean's-
favor?
All in favor of Sean being the chair. That's.
All in favor of Sean being the chair?
Aye.
All opposed?
I vote yes and no.
We don't need any hanging chads, Commissioner Fan. Okay.
At this time, the voting is closed.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Sean.
Thank you. Thank you. And so,
At this time, I'm going to pass it back over to you.
all right, thank you, Commissioner Miller. I'd like to say congratulations to Commissioner Bell and to Commissioner Miller. I look forward to serving with you guys this calendar year for the Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll move on to our next agenda item, which are announcements. Staff, do you have any announcements for this evening? Yes, please do.
Good evening. I just wanted to share with you all that the city is having a community food forum in East Point on March 14th. It's going to be from 6:30 to 8:30, and it's going to be at the Bowden Senior Multipurpose Facility, 2885 Church Street, East Point, Georgia, 30344. And I'll read the the announcement. Let's reimagine how our city grows. Learn how the city of East Point can become the first pilot city to complete a city agriculture plan in partnership with Food Well Alliance and the Atlanta Regional Commission. Come share your ideas and hear from Metro Atlanta farmers and local food experts about the value that community gardens and farms can bring to your growing city. And there is a place to register online, and this is also on our website as well, but I just wanted to make that announcement for those of you who may be watching online.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thanks.
Are there any other announcements? Any other announcements? Commissioners, any announcements? At this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, second by Commissioner Maxwell, that we adjourn. All in favor, sound aye. Aye. All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.